Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode on the podcast. Today, I'm joined with Lauren, and today we're going to see about autism, hearing about Lauren's journey with autism and how she's doing. So, Lauren, thank you for saying that you'd like to come on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really happy.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to have a chat with you about autism and stuff. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Lauren. I'm 20 at the minute. I'm a student at Newcastle, so I study physics. And I was diagnosed as autistic last year, so I've not actually been diagnosed that long. But since then, I've just been trying to get myself out there more, spread a lot more awareness and acceptance. So I'm trying to do a lot more at university. So I'm the disability officer of my student union. So I essentially just represent all students with disabilities and try and make the wellbeing services more accessible for everyone. So that's kind of my main role. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That is.
Yeah.
Like are you kind of the boss then? Are you
Well, I wish I was. So it's kind of a voluntary role at the student union. So there was a student election in March that I won. So I was very happy with that. I really enjoyed doing the elections process. So yeah, I won that, and now it's kind of like a part-time job but voluntary. But I'm looking forward to it anyway. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's always nice when you do that kind of stuff, just stuff that you want to do while getting paid.
Yeah. Like it's just something I'm really passionate about. So for me, even though I'm not getting paid, it's not something that I'm bothered about because it's something I'm really interested in. Obviously, it's always a bonus if you get paid for things, but I'm not bothered because it's just something I really enjoy.
Yeah, I think it starts off like that, doesn't it? Then possibly in the future it could lead to that, but I think that like when you talk about jobs and stuff, it like you should enjoy it, not worry about the money. Like it's always the bonus, really.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing I kind of want to get out of. If I'm going this way with my career now, with trying to do more public speaking and things, it's mainly because because I'm really interested in it. But then, if I do get paid, that's just the bonus for me.
Yeah, I agree, and but yeah, like you said, you're 20. I'm 22, so there we go. Yeah. My birthday's in September.
Yeah, mine's in October, so not that far away.
Oh yeah. So yeah. And yeah, so big 21 this year then.
Yeah, big 21. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'll be doing any kind of grand celebration. They're not exactly my kind of thing, having loads of people and the typical student living, going out and stuff. That's not really my kind of thing. But now I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah. I don't like. I'm not one for parties or anything. Like I don't really like them.
Yeah. I've never been one for parties or anything.
Yeah, like I don't mind going to maybe a friend's, but I don't like mine because you can't have to speak to everyone, and you're not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then people get annoyed with you for like, I was at your party, you see me, and I was like, no.
No, I didn't want to be there, to be honest.
Yeah, but I know what I kind of am doing for my birthday. I'm going to be doing I'm going to do skydive.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I am, and I'm gonna. I've got a raise. I'm gonna create like
like a GoFundMe or something.
Yeah, and I have that done, and so I can jump out of it and stuff. And I'm gonna do it for like a charity called Rare Diseases. So that's just like rare things that I can raise money for.
But yeah,
it's gonna be fun. I've done an indoor one, but I'm right now, but when I'm up there, I might be scared.
Now, they always look really fun. I've always seen those indoor skydiving ones. They always look really fun. Don't know if I could ever do like an actual proper skydive, but they do always look fun.
Yeah, they are the indoor ones. Like they are good. Doesn't seem like you're in there for long though, but
no,
it's quite fun. But yeah. So yeah, we've got exciting times later part of this year. Doesn't seem that far away really, but
yeah.
so you're diagnosed with autism last year, you said.
Yeah.
How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it was kind of a thing of, I think I've always known that I was autistic. It was just that I've never had it down on paper, and I've never really like openly talked about it with like family and things like that. So I've talked about it a lot recently, in relation to like when I was at the autism show and things. That talk was kind of all about how I've come to getting diagnosed, what I'm doing now, things like that. So for me, it was my friends that I had all through primary and secondary school, both of them were autistic, both diagnosed as young children, about 3 or 4. And I just kind of slotted in with them so well. They were like the only people I've ever felt truly comfortable around. So at the when it came to me when I was about 12, 13, I went to them and I was like, do you think there's a possibility that I might be autistic? And they both just sat there and they were like, well, you've probably caught it from us. If anything, you're with us all the time. You probably caught it from us. And I was like, well, maybe I'll look into that. So I did obviously do more research and things, and then it just kind of didn't really think anything of it. And I was just like, well, I probably am autistic, but I'm friends with these two and we get on really well. So that was kind of it. And then it came to lockdown and stuff with COVID and everything. And I just had loads of time to think about when I was at uni and thinking, why do I feel so different to everyone else? And it just came around that no other explanation, like anxiety or depression or anything, was cutting it. It wasn't like a deep enough explanation to explain everything. So I just started looking into it more and managed to get myself referred, and then I was diagnosed in November. So it's not even been a year yet, but so I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah. It seems to come fast though, really. But yeah.
Oh, it has. It's gone really fast.
Yeah. It's crazy. And all this stuff happened and stuff. Yeah, but like it's good that you have got a diagnosis though, because it does help with different things like
yeah.
A diagnosis of autism and stuff, because you can get priority to stuff, get extra help. But yeah, like how was you relieved like when you got told that you...
I was so relieved, yeah. So well, at the time, well, before my assessment, I was thinking, do I have ADHD? Do I have autism? Is it both? Is it just one of them? I've got no idea. So when I got the original assessment booked, and as soon as I got in that session, and the psychiatrist that I had was one of the most understanding people that I've ever talked to. And I was really pleasantly surprised, because most of like anything that any other creators had put out online, it was how negative the experience has been for getting diagnosed, because I know so many people that have had a really awful experience. But then I was in this phone call with my psychiatrist and she was lovely. Like, she was up to date on masking and obviously how autism presents in pretty much anyone who isn't male. She was very up to date, very understanding. And then when she did diagnose me, I was like, oh, thank God, that is one thing off my mind. I know. And then I can finally start like actually looking at things more. So of course that was the beginning of my second year of uni. So as soon as I got that, I was like, okay, well, I can email uni now and say, well, I've got this diagnosis, what extra support can I get? I managed to get in contact with DSA, so I got more disabled students allowance. And then now that I'm getting everything sorted, I'm going through the process now of applying for PIP and blue badges and things. So it's a really long process, but I'm hoping in the long run, once I've applied for everything and got it sorted, I can eventually just be like, I finally got everything in place that I would have loved to have had in place like years ago. So it has been like, it was such a relief knowing that there was finally a reason.
Yeah, it is really nice to it is nice for you to get that diagnosis, because like and PIP is very hard. It's very, very hard to get as well. So I had to fight for all these things, but and the blue badge is good to have as well, because have a disabled like parking and stuff like that, which is it's pretty cool. Because it's almost like at the front row. So
yeah, exactly.
And like for example, if you like probably theme parks, you might get a special band. I think they do where you can skip the line.
Yeah. I think Alton Towers or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've only been to a few theme parks, but I, that has happened, and it's pretty cool because you don't want to spend the whole entire time at the back and get
Yeah,
irritated
exactly. Yeah.
with people as well,
Yeah.
like our own space.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that kind of stuff does help. Um, um, and yeah, it's like I think you get kind of now, and like the where we are now, that people get diagnosis more now of autism.
Yeah, there's loads of people that I know of, even since coming to uni, and there's various people where since I've been like more public about it, and there's like friends, just people I know of from uni that have been like, oh, I've just been diagnosed. I'm like, oh, brilliant, that's really cool. So now there's just loads of people that I know that obviously I've always been autistic, but are now like only just finding out in their 20s. And it's absolutely crazy. So especially like for me now, it was getting to a point like where I was coming to uni where I was like, okay, I really need support, like finding it hard to like live independently and stuff. So I really need some kind of support. So now that I've got that, I feel like I can start like being honest with my family and things and being like, look, I actually do really need a lot of support, even though I might not have let on to that for the past few years. But now that I do know, and I know that I can ask and it's okay to ask for support, these are things that I do need. So that's what I'm working on at the minute. It's quite hard, I think, to be very honest about maybe how much support you actually need, which is, well, it's just a bit of a journey, isn't it, to try and figure out how do I describe what I need to people, and are they going to be understanding about it? Are they going to be accommodating? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges probably after being diagnosed.
Yeah, it's very hard, isn't it, to ask for help, and like because people don't always understand. It always goes on looks, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Like if you look like you're doing alright, for like if you're at uni, maybe you're doing your work and mind your own business, not asking for help, and teacher thinks you're fine, and I'd have thought, and like it's not always like that, is it? Because like you could say no, but you really need that help, but you don't really want to bother anyone, and you don't really want people to look at you in a different way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is pretty tough, and like how was your school life, Lauren?
So for me, school was okay most of the time for me. Primary school was pretty much completely fine. I mean, I was the kid where, say, the ones that were misbehaving, they would try and sit them next to me to think that I would rub off on them and they would do work. But then this is where me reflecting, realizing I actually had undiagnosed ADHD, because they would sit the naughty kids next to me to try and get me to rub off on them, and I would just end up getting distracted and talking all the time, and then I would get told off as well. So that was kind of one of my main experiences of primary school. Secondary school, as I say, I was mainly with my autistic friends, so I kind of experienced some of the negatives of school for autistic people through them in a way, because I was really close with them and was like very fiercely, if anyone went against them, it was me that kind of not stood up for them, because they were very capable of doing it themselves, but just kind of saying to that person, why are you doing that, and things like that. Like, we even had staff at school. There's one prominent thing I'll always remember. I think we were only in year 7, so it must have been about 11 or 12. One of my friends used to get picked on, bullied a lot by people at school. He used to get beat up and things. And one of the teachers argued that essentially because he was autistic, he had started winding up the bully on purpose, so that when he got beat up, it was his own fault. And she then said that my other friend, who was autistic, was egging him on because he thought it was funny. And they're not the type of people to do that at all. We just wanted to be left alone. And to then try and scare the 3 of us out of saying anything, she told us that they were going to call the police on us And when you've got 3 autistic children who aren't very good at understanding sarcasm and jokes, and a teacher who's quite high up in the school tells you that they're going to call the police on you, that's not something that you would think, oh, well, she's just doing it to get a reaction out of us or something. We were like sat there terrified. I remember like running to find my sister and was like crying. She was in year 11 at the point. So I was like in full on tears running to go and find her and be like, Emma, they're saying they're going to call the police and everything, all of this. And she was like, don't worry, they're not going to do any of that. I'll come in there with you. And my sister came in and was like talking to them with me, like my tutor came in as well. So we did eventually sort it out. But just looking back on that teacher, like, and I don't understand how you can see 2 autistic students who are very obviously being bullied and think, you know what, I'm going to blame all of this on you because it's you that wants the attention, not the fact that people are just horrible and they pick on anyone who's different. So for me, that was like a very prominent experience where even though it wasn't me directly it affected, I was still kind of dragged into that in a way. And I think it'll still affect me being autistic, because I've then had experiences since where people obviously make lots of assumptions about you being autistic, or they think you're evil, or you're doing it for attention, or you don't care about other people. And so that just always kind of comes back to that experience at school with that teacher. So that's kind of like the main thing I remember from school, especially secondary school. Apart from things like odd comments other people would make at me. I always think it's quite funny, to be honest. How did a load of 14-year-old girls know I was autistic before I did? Because they obviously knew that something was different about me to try and pick me out of everyone else. So it's quite impressive, to be honest, that they obviously picked up on it before I did.
Yeah, that is pretty bad about the teacher there, because like saying calling the police when, like, I imagine he wasn't there, he didn't see what the situation was. He just said that. I don't know. It's a bit weird why he said that, really.
Exactly. It was, we were just confused, to be honest. We were like, why are they telling us they're going to call the police? But of course, all 3 of us not understanding whether that was serious or not, all of us were just in tears, upset, not knowing what to, inconsolable, pretty much.
Yeah, probably in his mind he was saying that as a joke. I don't know, he might have not been saying that as a joke.
Yeah, you never know, to be honest.
Like, you don't really know, do you, when they say stuff like that? Like, yeah, I've had situations like that, like in mainstream school.
Yeah.
Like a PE teacher saying, you've got 5 seconds to get changed, or you'll be locked in.
There's so many times like that.
Yeah, and I get quite upset, and I'm like whizzing my fastest, like you're at the 100-meter sprint at the Olympics and trying to get changed, and I did rush, and I was probably half undressed outside because I was rushing and scared I'd be locked in.
You've got to get out before you get locked in.
And yeah, I wouldn't have minded being locked in, to be honest, in a way. Because I mean, I don't have to do the PE. Like the PE mainstream was very like Olympic-fied.
I think it was definitely in some aspects. I mean, for us, our school wasn't exactly one of those that were good at events. We just kind of lost everything if we went to other schools. But I used to really enjoy sports. So I played football for quite a few years. I played for my local girls team. So I did really enjoy PE, but it was a case of being in the girls class. I could just never get along with girls. I've never understood like the unspoken rules of female communication sometimes, especially when it's teenage girls and they're all about falling out with each other. It gets very toxic very quickly. So I used to really enjoy PE, but then they would just get really toxic and be horrible to me. So in the end, the PE staff put me in the boys' class, which actually turned out a lot better because there was no fuss or anything, and I just got to play football with my friends. So it actually worked out really well for me. But yeah, PE, I always enjoyed it, especially when I was in the boys' class. Because I got to do like football and stuff. They had like different sports depending on if you were in like the girls or not. Like the girls would do like netball and stuff like that, and then the boys would always do football, and I never wanted to do netball. I always wanted to be off doing football, so it kind of worked out nicely. Yeah, as sports go, I would say netball's maybe not the most interesting.
I remember doing that at primary school.
Yeah.
I think I was the only boy there doing it. At that point, I didn't know it was just a girls' sport. Because but yeah, it's not that fun. I like football. I did, but not really. Because I was only in mainstream school for like a year. Like, then I went to like a special school, people with autism, ADHD, all different needs. And I was there for the rest of my school life. And yeah, that's pretty fun. Like there's football tournaments, not Olympic-fied stuff, but yeah, like just it's just getting rushed and stuff, isn't it? It's like you got 5 minutes, you got 5 seconds to get changed. Why are you standing still? Why aren't you moving?
Yeah, there's just so many things. It's like I don't know. I don't understand. I'm just here. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like the thing of my time in mainstream school, because I know everyone is different, is that it's all rush. It's like a television program, and as such, like storylines just going zoom. You've got to do that 5 minutes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. that was like an issue I had in primary school. So again, when I was like reflecting on things for ADHD, one of the things I always used to get told off for was like, Lauren, you've not written a paragraph in the time that we've given you. And I'd be like, well, I'm too distracted. I was getting distracted by everything. Or they'd be like, you need to have a page written by the end of this lesson. I'd be like, well, I can't, but I've written this, but I can assure you what I've written is really good quality.
Yeah, it's like I can't. Like you say, you get quite distracted. I'm like that too. Like in school, if someone talking to me and I'm not going to ignore them, because
exactly.
what am I going to do? It's not my fault. Tell them off for talking to me.
Yeah, exactly. They're just roping me in. That's not my issue. I can't be rude and ignore them.
Yeah, like the thing about teachers is they need to observe the situation well, because they're not observing the situation well. They're telling you off for like you're probably still doing the work. You're not going to do it, but there's some people that don't.
Exactly.
And like and it is annoying that like I find that the good people normally are the ones that get picked on more than maybe the bad people in the classroom.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the teachers got used to me kind of talking a lot, because in the end they used to sit me and one of my friends together in every single lesson, because they knew that we worked really well together, and we would literally get sat at the back because they knew that they would not have to bother with us. They could just let us do our own thing, and we would literally just sit and talk for the entire lesson, but we would still get the work done. So they would literally just sit us at the back of the class together and be like, wow, that's fine, you can sit over there, we don't need to be bothered about whatever you're doing. And we would mess around and stuff, but still somehow have the work done by the end of the lesson. And so I genuinely don't know how I did it, because I won't be able to do that now, especially at uni. I've got no idea what I'm doing. But yeah, it was really fun, to be honest. I did enjoy some aspects of school. But yeah, as you say, it was definitely really rushed, and I think I could have done with just like more time, just a bit more consideration and stuff, especially around things like bullying as well. Like, no one ever looked into anything I struggled with, because I managed to like keep churning grades out. So it was like, oh well, you're fine, you're not disturbing my lesson really in any way, and you're still given us the grades that we want. We'll not look into everything, even though it was very obvious in school that I did struggle with things like with talking to people and things like that, but it was just not a thing that was looked at, because it's only if you're being actively disruptive that they think, well, something's wrong with that person, we need to get them out of my classroom and have a look at them and see what's wrong, which is really unfair on everyone, to be honest. I now have like a lot of sympathy for people that were classed as being badly behaved in school, because looking back at the people I was in a class with, I'm just thinking all of those people, well, most of those people probably were undiagnosed ADHD or autistic, and they were just labelled as having bad behaviour and not wanting to be there, when now looking back it's really clear to see that teachers and staff just aren't, well, they're either not equipped to deal with anyone who's different, or they just can't be bothered to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so it's a real problem.
You can't really, like, what I found about like mainstream and stuff is that you can't say your opinion. Really, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Really, does it? Because like bullying, and stuff like that. It's really hard because because you can't really tell teacher, because then you know that really they can't do anything about it because they don't know the situation and they haven't seen it themselves. So unless they saw it for themselves, that won't do anything really, will they?
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many. The thing is with schools is that teachers aren't being paid enough in the first place, so there's no real, like, they just haven't got there's no kind of motivation really behind trying to put all that effort and energy in. But then aside from some teachers not getting paid enough, some aren't really bothered about it anyway, and then schools just don't have the resources anyway. There's so many kids that I know that are in school now, and even ones that were at my old schools that I've heard about, and I'm just hearing about how bad it is now to be at school with, if you are autistic or have ADHD or any kind of anything that makes you different. And it's really bad that now it's either you stay in this mainstream school, if you can't hack it, then off you go. Well, you're either separated off into a different classroom where you're not supported really that much better, or it's just, well, you're going to have to find a different school and that's it. There's no actual support there for anyone in school really, and it's really awful.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, isn't it? Like the support network, and like there's not a lot of support there, and like I remember different situations that I thought things were said a certain way and they weren't, like getting detentions for silly things, getting told off for silly things, and like thinking one situation was I was told after lunch, because in mainstream school, like I think like I had like a classroom that people maybe needed a little bit more help that you'd go in, and I was there, and then it was before lunch. The teachers was like, everyone wait outside the library for the next lesson after lunch, and that's what I did. Not just me, I would just say possibly the half of the class did, and there's a few in there, and then the teacher, obviously everyone else is so shy, and like when we was there about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and we was wondering what's going on. Like we're waiting, and it was actually a helper teacher was there with us as well. That was the strange thing about it. So we say, like, we walk back after 15 minutes to the classroom, and the teacher is standing at the front of the classroom with the people left in the class, and she was like, why are you late? What 15, 20 minutes late? And I was like, you told us to wait outside the library, and that's what we've been doing for 15, 20 minutes. And she was like, no, I didn't say that. You got a detention. And I think I went to the detention, but the point of the fact is, what even made me quite annoyed. At this point, I was really low on confidence, so I was lucky enough I was able to do that just because no one else did it themselves. But the head of year came the next day saying, "Why was you all late for the lesson?" And I was thinking, why are you getting informed about this at the start? Because I think you've got much more better things to do. But on the other hand, I said, well, we just went to the library because that's what we thought we got told, and I think I still feel we were right to now, because and stuff, and then he wasn't very nice about the situation. He was talking in like kind of an angry tone, and he was like, "Don't do it again," and it was like, in my mind, I said yes to him, but I was thinking to myself, don't do what again? Don't do what I thought I got told.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
which I was thinking. But
Yeah.
there was just those kind of situations that you think if people understood autism, they wouldn't make it that way.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, I always think a lot of it is common sense, but then I'm like, am I thinking that because I'm autistic and I understand, or is it actually common sense? Because
Yeah.
if, like, I think any other person in that situation, even if that was what you thought you'd been told, you wouldn't give someone a detention for it. You would maybe say, okay, well, apparently they said this, and then you wouldn't give someone a detention because they thought they were told to do something. It's not
Yeah.
like you were purposely acting out like with bad behavior.
Yeah.
You thought you were told to do it, so you did. And I think sometimes they just they go too far with what they think they can do. Like, there's just detentions for silly things that aren't even worth the time.
Yeah, that's right. I think they just like I think some teachers like maybe just like the fact they're in charge of their class.
Yeah, I think a few definitely do.
Yeah, yeah, because like I love it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll be like it's almost like you're a lord or something, and
Yeah.
like I have the power to tell you to do stuff, which it shouldn't be like that. Really,
Yeah.
it shouldn't like you shouldn't be thinking that. But 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 yeah, that is pretty tough. But on the other hand, which I laugh at this situation. This wasn't at mainstream. This was at special school.
Mm.
And of course, there's always going to be good things and bad things about the two of them because they're fairly different. But my experience
Yeah.
in special school was much better. Not to start with, I didn't really like it at the start because I found it really hard. Like to transfer and not
Yeah.
a few people in my class wasn't very nice to me, but I suppose that's what I was new.
Yeah.
But a funny fact is of this detention, because there was a science lesson, and what happened was, you had, I knew for a fact that we were not going to use our pencil cases this lesson,
Mm.
and I was right. And because I saw before the lesson, I saw the compute. You know, like in schools, you have that computer unit where like the thing that has all the computers in.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you mean.
and then you just pick one out. Um, and it has wires to it. And I went into lesson, and to be honest, I think I lost my pencil case, which is the reason I didn't bring it.
Yeah.
Um, but still, that I saw the computer unit thing outside, and then the science teacher, was like, "You got your pencil case? You got a pen, pencil?" And I said no, um, um, because I didn't, and I said, well, you need one. It's just, and then nothing happened about that then, and then she said I got a detention because I didn't bring a pencil case and I had to bring one, and that's not even the funny part because um um the funny part is during the lesson, like obviously we get the computer, and
Yeah.
during the lesson, um, probably a more naughty person that has ADHD. I say I'm probably a good person like you, like that they would stick maybe
Yeah.
a naughty kid next to you, um, just to make you try and do it. And what happened was this naughty kid, well, I'm not going to say it's naughty kid, but like he was more disruptive. Um,
Mm.
um, well, he forgot a pencil as well, and
Yeah.
you would think that he would get detention as well, like me.
Yeah.
Um, and the teacher was like, "Oh, hang on, I'll get you a pencil." Um, and I didn't say anything. I just wanted to get on with the lesson.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, and then that was it. And coming to the end of the lesson, I I kind of saw if the pencil case was used or not, or a pencil was using, which I didn't use it. I was on the computer the
Yeah.
whole entire time. And then I think the teacher was like, "I see you detention, at lunch or something like that." Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I went. I didn't say anything at the time because I don't know. I I was just I went back to my form, told them a little bit about the situation, and that because like the teacher was more of kind of a mainstream kind of teacher,
Yeah.
like in a special school, so it was really hard to understand parts of it. But I did really like science, and the teacher, to be fair, because it was quite funny at times. And like these kind of situations are quite funny, really. But yeah, what happened was I went to the detention and I said, I told her, like, it's quite funny. I go in, I didn't directly go into the room. I went to walk and stood outside the door, and the teacher was like, "Oh, right, Mason, you're here for your detention. Lovely." And then I said, "Yeah, I'm here, but I'm not here for the detention. I'm here because I've come to talk to you about what happened. Is like, which she put herself in a silly situation because if she it'd been alright if she maybe for the other student give them a detention as well, but she put her kind of thing in there because like I have something to say, like, which she couldn't fight back really, because like I said, so yeah, you gave me detention for not bringing the pencil case in, knowing that probably this is 1 in 100 times, like I've missed it, and then I think she says, yeah, Mason, but you got to set an example. And I was like, yeah, but I set an example probably every week and every time. And I said, why am I getting detention when someone else forgot their pencil case too?
It's so stupid.
And she said she didn't really have much to say. And she thought I was getting angry, but I wasn't getting. I was upset. Like I think anyone would probably be upset about that.
Definitely.
Like even maybe a little bit angry because what like if that happened to maybe someone else or like you go in and you get told you got detention, but someone else has done exactly the same thing as you, and they haven't. So
it is really. I would definitely be angry about that. I mean, especially like at school, like what you said. I think they often like if you're someone who's usually like well behaved or high achieving or something, the minute you do anything wrong, they're very like they're on you, like why aren't you doing this as what you were normally, why aren't you getting this, why aren't you doing this? But then if it's someone who does it a lot, they start to then be more lenient with them, and they're just like, oh, that's just so and so, that's just what they do. So it's really bad on both ends, because for that person that they're just kind of leaving to it, they end up just kind of neglecting them in lessons, because then it just means like if they were to show any kind of like they needed help or whatever, they're just kind of like, that's just so and so, they just kind of leave them be. But then for us, when it's like if we're usually the ones that are on top of everything, the minute you slip, they're very much on you, and they're like, well, why aren't you doing this, why aren't you doing this, you're usually so good at all of these things, you're meant to be the best one at doing all of these things. So for both, it doesn't help anyone. I don't see why in that situation, you've both forgotten your pencil case, I don't see why she can't just be like, make sure you bring one next time, here's a pencil for both of you for the lesson. I don't see why that's so hard to do.
It's kind of wasting both of our times, because I'm sure she don't want me sitting in there. Well,
exactly. That's like her lunch break or something, and she's just invited you in.
Yeah, but the funny, like, I think the reason is deep down, like thinking about that, like she says that to this other student because of their behaviour. It may get worse if they give that person attention, and maybe not so much me. I may get annoyed about it, but I won't maybe react in a bad manner. But maybe that's what she was thinking, but still not right.
Exactly.
Really. But another situation is like prefect, like because you know in your year 11 in school, you kind of people get prefects, don't they? And like you can't apply for it, don't you? Like if you want it. And I applied for it, which I was a bit disappointed because the kind of person who you're interviewing or is there said to me that like I didn't sell myself enough in like the letter bit or something, which and also on being autistic, you're not really good to understand that. You may think of money like if you're taking things more seriously, which was quite upsetting because like it's got the funny part is the person they gave the prefect to at the interviews that were placed at that time was the person that forgot the pencil case as well, like me.
It's come full circle.
Yeah, that's quite funny, and that was only I think to maybe make his behaviour better, but actually made it worse.
Yeah.
So it wasn't right. But yeah, so a lot of people, I wasn't actually the only one upset, because a lot of people was upset for me, and like my teachers and like and friends that thought that I would get it because like and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's always annoying when things like that happen, you know, when you really think like, I'm like really set on this. Like, I think it's something actually really similar happened to me. So the system we had in our school, the secondary school, we had it where, say, there were like 2 house leaders per house in the school. So our houses were named after like local parks near us. So we had like Rufford, Clumber, Thoresby and Sherwood, because I'm from near Nottinghamshire. So we had Sherwood as one of ours. So so you had like 2 people who were chosen to be the leaders of each house, and usually you had to be in year 11 to be chosen. But I first got chosen for that when I was in year 8, so I did that fine. But then we got to year 11 and they said, how about we add in some kind of thing now, like a prefect type thing, but not kind of as official as that. And they were like, well, you can't apply or anything, we're just going to choose students out of existing people. And I was like, brilliant, I've got this, I've been house leader, I'm on the student council, I do all of these things. And they just picked the most popular people out of the year group, and there was no option to like apply for it or anything. And I was sat there like, I really want this and I feel like I can do so many good things with it. And then they just picked like people who didn't care about anything like that at all, but because they were really well known in school, they were like, yep, you can have it. And I was just like, oh, for God's sake, I really wanted that. And it was the same for me, where loads of people thought that I was going to be one of them, and they were asking me like, oh, are you that new like house, had that new leader type thing? And I was like, no, I didn't get it, I didn't get chosen for it. And I think it's really annoying when they do things like that, because if you are someone that's hardworking and you know you're set on it and you're like really going for it, and then there's someone that doesn't even care about it but they get picked anyway, it was just so annoying.
Yeah, it kind of, it hurts your feelings really, doesn't it? Like people like that, and like eventually because of the behaviour of the person got increased, and that's the reason they made them prefect. Ended up was prefect in the end, but it wasn't like they should have done it straight away. Really, like that kind of stuff. And but yeah, like it's still autism in every environment still needs to improve, and like how it does affect you, like give a solid reason why, more than like what was said to me at the time, but and then was picked. But yeah, it's hard when that kind of stuff happens. And yeah, like we said, it's more the good like people that have that are maybe laid back and just get on with it.
So it's just annoying, you know, when you've like really worked for something and then they just pick based off people that haven't kind of done anything or want to do anything. And I was just like, I'm right here, guys. I was so ready to do that, and then you just missed me out. I mean, it turns out they didn't end up really doing much as like that prefecty type role anyway, so in the end it kind of turned out all right for me. But it was just nice because I like having a pin badge. If there's a badge that says I'm some kind of leader, I do enjoy a badge.
Yeah, you got some sort of kind of like you have that control, like
it just makes you feel so good. Just
to
have like a little thing on your blazer or your jumper or whatever, just a little thing that says that you're good at something.
Like it's nice to have, but it didn't do much with it. And the disappointing part, like it might have been clean the PE cupboard, which I didn't see the point, because people don't clean it after themselves and stuff like and stuff like that. But you may be captain of a team or something like that, get to pick stuff. But yeah, it's something that I don't know if that kind of role has changed now, if people do more stuff now since,
maybe they do. I'm not sure anymore. Maybe they
it'll be nice to go back to maybe mainstream and just see how are they still doing the things the same, have they improved? Did I know about autism a little bit more?
I think I really want to go back to my old secondary school just to kind of see, because a lot of the staff that taught me are still at school. I mean, I only left 4 years ago, so a lot of the staff that taught me are still there. So there's a few good members of staff where if I went back and said hi, they'd be like, "Oh, it's nice to see you" and everything. So like I'd be happy with that, but at the same time, I want to go back and be like, "Nah, like what's actually happening? Have you got better at any of these things?" And I don't think they have, to be honest. So because I always think like, I think I would love to be a teacher because I know that I would actually care about people. But then at the same time, I think schools and teaching is kind of a toxic environment. So I don't think I'd be able to handle like staff room drama and things like that, and having that much responsibility over a group of kids. But I would just like to be there and just be someone where, you know, like kids can come up to you and talk to you and things, because I think I would have loved that in school if there was someone who was a bit more chilled out that was still like kind of a teacher, where you could just go up to them and talk to them about anything. And I think especially me being younger, I always think like if I was to go back, I'd be like, oh, I'm the cool teacher. I know all of the things that you like on the internet and TikTok and stuff. You can come and talk to me about things. And so I think it would be really nice to go back at some point and actually talk to kids, because I think the main thing at the minute is I just really want to kind of tell kids things like it is okay to be yourself and be different, because that was kind of the point for me where I started to think I need to hide loads about myself, because like my interests and stuff, people thought that it was weird for me to like certain things. So I just really want to go back to like my old secondary school or my primary school and something, and honestly just kind of be that weird person, because I think for a lot of people it does them good to see someone that is like maybe very weird and very proud of it, just because it lets you know that, oh, I can do that thing too, and I can maybe feel comfortable in myself at one point. And if there's someone there that they can talk to and discuss that with, and it can be like completely chill with them, then that's kind of the person I would want to be. It's just obviously teaching, I don't think I could handle the environment of it, but I would absolutely love to do something like that.
Yeah, like even if you're just maybe help a teacher or something, and like there's not as much stress, is there, with that, but you may get kids come up to you maybe more because the teacher's busy. But like on the other hand, like people do have one-to-ones.
Yeah.
Don't they? What do you think about that? Like because like at school, like you may just get a teacher just helping that one person the whole time and maybe not have time for the rest of the class.
I mean, I think there was maybe only a couple of lessons that I've been in. It was mainly in primary school, I would say, when say someone like a teacher assistant would come in and mainly only work with one person. I mean, it never bothered me at the time, because at that time in school I wasn't like needing extra support and things. So for me it was just kind of like, well, they obviously need more help or support with something, and that's what they've got. So that was always fine with me. But I always know that there were other people in the class that were struggling to like pay attention. They didn't understand the work, and they'd just be sat there not being able to do something, because no one has the time to go around everyone and actually sit with them and say like, are you okay? Do you understand what you're doing? If not, and then actually direct you somewhere. Like, no, there's no time to do that. And I just think it would be nice to have more like teaching assistants, where if everybody was paid enough, it would probably happen. But to just kind of take a bit of the workload off teachers and maybe do a bit more of the pastoral side of things. I think that's what I would like to do, to like maybe help out with lessons, but then say like, are you okay? Do you understand? If not, here's some very clear instructions for what you can do to get you on task and stuff. If you need me, come and find me. And I think that's just a thing that a lot of classrooms need.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful, so people can feel comfortable with you, and yeah, because it's hard, because I suppose we all have our favourite teachers, don't we, at schools and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and probably helper teachers too, as they call them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I always that'd be nice, and I would like to see more stuff outside as well, like working, not always in classrooms.
Yeah.
Because it can be really draining, can't it? Like
yeah, definitely. Just being in the same boring place all the time.
Yeah, and it is like occasionally I go out, maybe for a science experiment,
Yeah.
but not lots, which is really it help people mental health as well by doing that.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest changes from primary to secondary school. Like, of course, at primary school, they're like, okay, like you've got your break times, you go out and play or whatever, you do what you need to let off steam. But then as soon as you get to secondary school, it's like you can't do that anymore. You've got to grow up. You can go outside, but you just stand around, or you sit around or whatever. Like, I went into year 7 still wanting to play TIG with people, and then you just realize, like, oh, that's not a thing that I'm meant to do here. I'll not do that then. That's not something I can do. But I think just having a free space to be able to do whatever you want to decompress when you've been sat in a room for however many hours is really good. And especially when they start reducing break times, like for us, they were even making the changeover in between lessons shorter because they wanted people to be quicker with getting to lessons. So it would be something like you'd have a minute and a half to travel to the other side of the school to get into your next lesson. They'd be like, we've cut the time down so that you get to your lessons faster. And I'm just like, I'm now running from one side of the building to the other to get to my lesson. Give me time.
Then the teacher would be like, stop running in the corridors.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah that kind of stuff is annoying because and then you see teachers running themselves, and then
yeah, exactly.
You're like, you're not obeying by the rules. Why should we?
That was always what it was like in PE. They'd like send you doing cross country or something in like January, and they'd be like, "No, keep going," and you'd be like, "I'm freezing. It's too cold," and they're stood there in massive winter coats, like all snuggled up, and they're like, "Go on, then get running. It's not cold at all."
Yeah, exactly. I remember that actually. Like, you do the running and quite a lot of stuff, and like, yeah, it's a big change because, like for me, I got, like at the end of primary school, if you knew people that were going to your school, your next school, you're allowed to pick who you want to go in your form.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
That's what happened. But the thing is, no one that I picked became in my form. And I was thinking, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I didn't know anyone. And I didn't know anyone and people, and I made a friend, and it was quite cool because he knew a couple of people, but we were kind of same boat. We didn't really know. We were quite shy.
Yeah.
And this person actually got diagnosed with autism later on as well.
Yeah.
I got diagnosed when I was 9.
Yeah.
I think I said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8, 9 years old. But the thing is, I didn't know that, and then I left in year 8, and my friend left in year 10, and my friend ended up going to the same school as me, in like year 10, which was quite cool.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Because I got asked that someone there waiting for you, so I'll show him around. Good thing is, it's not a big environment. Which I like. I don't like big environments, like big places.
Yeah.
Get lost.
Yeah, exactly.
But one thing is what's really frustrated me in mainstream. Well, another thing, not the only thing, because I think we found lots of things that do frustrate us.
Definitely we have.
Yeah. But like the thing is, you do drama.
Oh my God, drama.
Or PE for example.
Yeah.
You wear these ties, like they were ties on in mainstream, and they were part of the uniform.
Yeah.
And I'll take it off, and no, I'm going to struggle. To put this back on. And then I said to the drama teacher, he put it on for me a couple of times, but and then he lied. He started kind of lying and stuff. Well, I thought he was. He might have been telling the truth parts, but I don't think so. Well, I asked him, can you help me put my time, please? I don't know how to do it. I struggle. I've tried it loads of times. Can you help me? And he's like, I'm so sorry, Mason. I can't. And I was like, why? Well, what's stopping you?
Yeah.
They said, I'm not allowed. People tell me I'm not allowed. And okay, but you've done it for me before. So what's stopping you this time? Then
Yeah.
the last 2 times you've done it. And it's
Yeah.
like, try to do it yourself. And I was like, go on then, teach me. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, no, try to do it yourself. Try to do it yourself. So we weren't getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And these situations like this, where people will be the same, and they would say, you try and do it, and I'll watch. And I know I'm going to look silly because I won't be doing it right at all.
Yeah.
And then it comes to such where I start running, when it's home time, with my tie not on, and stuff. And like a teacher, normally there's a teacher outside the gate, isn't there? Just waving people goodbye.
Yeah.
And this teacher was like, I did like a fair few teachers I mentioned in school, though. It's quite funny, a story, which I'll say to you in a sec. But I run and this person says, you need to put your tie on. And it's like, I've had enough of this. You need to put your tie on. But I did stop, and then um, I'm out the gates at this point, and I'm still getting told to put my tie on. And it's like yeah, I said, whenever I do it, I ask people to help. They don't give me it. So I think he might have helped me. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It was more
Yeah.
or less the same kind of process, um, and kind of stuff. But within teachers, it was really a funny situation. On the day I left, my maths teacher was leaving. I think another maths teacher was leaving, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty cool because we were excited.
Everybody's gone.
Yeah, we were excited because we were leaving. And had a year come into the maths lesson when we were doing nothing. He said, are you sad about leaving?" I think he said, I was like, yeah, I'm very upset. And he said, you can come visit back. He says, of course I am. Which I had to say, but and I've had, like we said before, it'd be nice to go back to see how things are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite funny. And then one helper teacher got quite annoyed with me. But it was quite funny in a way because I didn't say. I kind of wanted him not to make a fuss about me leaving,
Yeah.
and not tell everyone. But then people found out sooner or later, more or less on the last day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then yeah, and then I left. And then that's what happened. But it's very hard.
Yeah.
To change schools. And
Yeah. Yeah. I bet it is, especially when did you say it was year 8 when you left?
I left. I started my January of the new year. So yeah, it would have been right. It might have been at the beginning of year 8. I did have some time in year 8.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it would have just been after Christmas.
Oh, right. Yeah. 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 That's kind of like it's like a decent time before you have to start like doing things like exams or GCSEs or whatever, but then it's still an awkward time when you've been at one school for like a year, you've just got settled in that one, and then it's like, okay, I've got to do it again now.
Yeah, and it wasn't easy at first because I don't know, not many people knew me, and I say not people, no one knew me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, like when you're just a new person in the class.
Yeah.
Which I made friends eventually. But yeah, it was much better, and people like kind of looked up to me and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
which
that's
was
nice.
which was nice, which I didn't get in mainstream. I was more
Yeah.
like I wasn't like happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you find it hard? Do you find it hard to do anything like in regards to your autism?
Sorry, what was that?
Like, do you find anything hard, like to within your autism? How have you found?
Yeah, so like for me, I've like making friends has always been really difficult for me. Just because like not understanding which things are appropriate things to talk about and which things aren't. So there's an example I always use, and it's always like when I was playing football and it was in my girls' team, like they all had very similar interests. They all like wanted to go out, and they were all inviting each other to their birthday parties and stuff, and they were all very interested in the same thing and makeup and stuff. And my only way of trying to like get involved with any kind of conversation was talk about things that I also like to do. but I was 13 and very obsessed with pretty much any kind of video game and anything kind of science related as well. So my only way to try and like actually get to be friends with anyone was to talk about my interest, which at the time for me was clouds and things like that. So I would be telling them like, you know, that one up there, that's I'd be like, that's an altocumulus or something like that, and I would be telling them all these things, and then they would just be like, yeah, that's weird, we don't do that, and then that was it. So that's always something I've kind of struggled with. But then I think mainly because of that moment, that was the point where I realized, okay, well, maybe my interests are a little bit weird and I should stop talking about them and things like that. So there was like a really big length of time up until recently where I genuinely felt really embarrassed and honestly felt like I was cringing about myself, because I was like, well, I can't talk about that, or I can't talk about anything that I'm doing with my friends because we all kind of have the same interests and everyone will think it's weird, and I can't discuss this thing that I really want to do or that I've just seen on the internet that I'm completely obsessed with and really happy with, because people all find it really weird. So that's one thing I've struggled with. Like I've always enjoyed my interests, it's just more of where do I kind of put that, and struggling to know which is an appropriate time to say what really. But especially like now that I'm getting more independent, I've realized that there's a lot more that I struggle with, especially with getting overwhelmed easier. Like temperature is a thing I struggle with. So these past 2 days of this heat wave have not been the best when it's been really warm. So have not slept or anything because I was just getting upset with how warm things have been. That's been like one thing I've noticed.
Do you more like the winter time than the
summer? Yeah, I much prefer winter. Even if it rains and stuff, I would much rather be like way too cold than way too warm, because it just gets you claustrophobic and then you just feel too overwhelmed. So I've always kind of preferred being colder, but that's another thing I've noticed. I mean, that's kind of sensory wise, but I was always kind of the person that was always called a picky eater, because of like different textures. Like there's certain brands that I'll only eat, and I will outright refuse to not eat other brands because I'm used to how that one tastes and how it is. Especially as of late as well, I've started to realize I struggle a lot more with like talking. So I'm kind of all right in these situations because I'm kind of keeping up appearances and being like, well, I can talk about these things as well. It definitely helps that I'm interested in it, but there's a lot more times recently where I'm getting overwhelmed a lot easier and not being able to talk as such. So I am kind of looking into seeing if there is some kind of device or software that might be able to help me for those times where I am struggling to speak, so that I can still get things across. So I just need to look into that and maybe have a conversation with family and friends about it, because I want to make sure that people understand, because I always think it comes a bit out of nowhere, especially when I've been diagnosed later and I'm suddenly like, here's all of this support that I need. And I always feel like people are going to be like, well, you've managed for 20 years. Why are you only just needing it now? Like, you've managed for all this time. And I think now that I know and stuff, I've got to a point where I've been so burnt out over the years that I've started to have a lot more needs, and this is just kind of one of them.
Yeah, it is. I understand what you're saying, because like different textures you may not like, or like eat, or even look at, but yeah, and like within special interests, it's really key to us as well, I think. Special interests, because like talk about our hobbies all day. I always talk about mine within autism, like all different things. Like I like football too. Like as we're speaking now, like I think England women, well, not playing now, but it's like the women Euros, isn't it? Which is pretty cool. When by the time this goes out, hopefully England won. So
hopefully,
hopefully they won. But yeah, it's just kind of stuff like that. And like I was one who taught. I did in primary school. Had a couple of friends. We were acting out kind of different stuff, and stuff like that. And like within my hobby that I really like. But yeah, like did you say you're kind of like gaming?
Yeah, I always have done.
Yeah. Do you still like what kind of games do you like?
So at the minute I mainly use my Switch. So well, of course, Animal Crossing came out a couple of years on the Switch. So that's since Animal Crossing came out on the Switch, that's kind of been my main thing that I've played. But I've always had the Animal Crossing games anyway. Sorry. Yeah. So Animal Crossing as a game series for me, even though I think it's definitely like boomed in popularity over the last couple of years. I always remember playing that with my sister when I was about 5 or 6 on the DS, and I absolutely loved that game. So it's brought me like loads of comfort over the years. So now, especially when there's times where I might be getting more stressed out or things, there's always something Animal Crossing related that I can kind of find joy and comfort from, which is really helpful. I think special interests do that for a lot of autistic people.
Definitely, and you find that most people with an autism kind of do like the same interests, really. I find,
Yeah,
like you say, TV program, maybe like doing the same thing. But yeah, I remember the DS. Like you sort of speak about DS, like you don't get them anymore, really. Do you? Like I
no,
remember
I
the
wish I
3D
still had
one.
my original one. Yeah.
Yeah, like the 3D one wasn't much different, really, was it, to the normal?
No, I mean I never got like the 3DS because that was like the one Animal Crossing game. I never had New Leaf, and it was on the 3DS. But I always remember there was times at school where we'd have a day like right at the end of summer where they'd be like, oh, you can bring like your DS in or something, and everyone would be sat there with their 3DSs and stuff. And I would just be like, can I please just play Mario Kart 7, or like can I please just play New Leaf for a bit, please? But yeah, I've always really enjoyed gaming. I think the first thing I played was probably Crash Bandicoot on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
I really loved Crash Bandicoot. So I have actually ended up buying another Xbox original because we did eventually get rid of the one that we had as kids, but so I did end up buying it back because now I'm like, I do kind of want to have every single console ever. So at some point I'm hoping to have a room. I'll have a nice shelving unit, and I'll have consoles, and so that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, that's a very good hobby because like I use a room I own now, kind of the gaming room.
Yeah.
Like I PS5 and I've always been a PlayStation person.
Yeah, I have been as well, to be honest, over the years.
Yeah, and like I prefer the feel. It's to do with textures actually, because I prefer the feel of a PlayStation controller over the feel of an
Yeah,
Xbox
I do
controller.
as well. Especially like the I mean the Xbox original is chunky. Like that's a chunky controller, but then I like the PS3 controller was like perfect. It was light, but then the 360 one, I felt like I was like having to proper reach round everything, and it did not feel good. But I always think PlayStation's done very well with like their controllers. I do like that.
Yeah, and like you'll get people say, "Oh, get Xbox is better. Xbox is better." Like you can do certain things a PlayStation can't. Like you have a pass that you can get many games as you want throughout the month and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I suppose it's what you used to. Like I'll probably never get an Xbox.
Yeah, I don't think I really will, to be honest. I do really want to get a PS5. There's plenty of PS5 games that I'd really want to play. There's Stray that's just come out. That looks really fun. I'd love to play that. But there's like another Sackboy game. I grew up playing Little Big Planet, so I really want to play the new Sackboy.
Yeah. Yeah, I played them and they're really good, and I suppose I didn't. Yeah, I love them, those kind of games.
Yeah.
Like I like action games as well.
Yeah.
I like those kind of games. Story games really.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. But yeah, like you said, like Mario. They don't do really Mario games on PS5, but on PlayStation even. But yeah, it's nice when you get into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get a PS5, let me know. We'll have to chat on it.
I will do. I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah.
hopefully. I mean, they're still expensive at the minute, but hopefully, I'm hoping the price will come down, because especially when there's loads of games coming out, and I definitely really want to. So if I do get a PS5, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Like I don't really how do I say it, like do it within autism, like talk about gaming and stuff, but now you think of it, it's quite relevant.
Yeah. I was even thinking, to be honest, now that I'm thinking of like getting more into YouTube and things, I was thinking like, should I start playing games and stuff, because it is something I've always enjoyed. So now I'm thinking like that might be a good thing to do, especially when there's like the new Pokemon game is coming out in November. There's Scarlet and Violet coming out, and I was thinking, oh, that would be such a good one to play and be able to upload it somewhere. But then I'm thinking, am I trying to like do too many audiences at once? Do I stick to autism, or do I go into gaming? Which one do I pick? But I think, as you say, in some ways they are related quite a lot.
Yeah, I've got an idea what you could do, actually.
Go on.
Like it's not autism, but it will make it autism. I had a person that come in here to speak about like Crohn's, because we talk about Crohn's on here as well, because I have that too. But he had his own Twitch where he was playing games. It was on the PC.
Yeah.
Where he would be talking about his Crohn's and stuff, and meet different people and stuff. Like what you could do possibly, you could play your games, talk and stuff, and maybe talk about conversations about autism and stuff. Like just rambling on to yourself and talking to people there.
And that's a really good idea, actually. I do quite like Twitch. I've got an account, but I've never like streamed or anything. So I think that's a really good idea, actually, just to like have a nice space where you can talk about things and just play games. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I've always been told to get Twitch, and I never have. Like I've never done it, and I think I downloaded the app, but I didn't create an account or anything. Which is I should really, because on certain games you can get discounts by logging onto Twitch and watching something.
That's true, you can.
Like if you like football, for FIFA, for example, like, and normally on Ultimate Team, if you get a free pack or something, which FIFA turns into a betting app nowadays.
Oh, it definitely has, yeah.
like with those FIFA points that you buy, just to get a good player, and then the next FIFA comes out, you've lost it. You got to again. Like I like my football and stuff like that, and but that's the thing. Why it's really good to relate to autism, because when a game comes out, like you'd be really excited and want to play all the time. Like FIFA, for example, because it's really repetitive. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just easy to do.
Yeah, but normally around this time of the year, I'll bored of it and I won't play it, because I'm bored, and I've done what I want to do in the game. And it's just the same process to try and get better players for your team. And you're thinking, okay, I've played it enough. I'll just wait for the FIFA 23 to come out.
23,
and stuff like that. But what I like, I don't know, I like the covers on games. I don't know about you. Like, you know, when you look at a game, you look at a cover. And stuff. Which why for the next FIFA, is like they have the same kind of footballer on there that's been in the last two ones. The only difference is that you've got a female on the cover as well as a male, which I think they've done. That's good.
I used to play FIFA years ago. I mean, I think the first FIFA I played was FIFA 09. So I had like FIFA 10 and stuff on the PS3, and then eventually when I had my PS4 and stuff, I had like FIFA 16, 17, and then I was still like just waiting all the time, because the main thing when I was younger, I just wanted to have a female custom character so that I could actually have someone that looked like me. And then all the time I would just be having to get the male characters but give them long hair, and obviously it just never looked right. So I'm really happy that they're finally getting more into the women's football. Even if like I don't really keep up with football anymore. I did kind of fall out of an interest of it when I did stop playing, but I still think it's really nice to see like now that they're getting back into the women's football, because I would have absolutely loved that. If this was about 10 years ago, I would have been all over that.
Yeah. I think now, because like last few years that they put women's internationals in it, but I think this time around they're going to be putting the actual teams in it as well. So that's pretty good. But the only downfall I don't know about the cover, that they've got the same guy on it that's been on the last two FIFAs. I don't know if it's the contract, but I've never known a FIFA to have the same person like 3 in a row.
Yeah, that's true. I never have either.
Which I thought, like, yeah, you got like other people that you can do that haven't been on it before. I think they should do that, really. Like each FIFA, that should be a different person, not the same. Because it's almost like, oh look, it's the easier option. I'll just pick the same person again, to just change a little bit what it looks like, or the way he shapes on the cover. But it is nice, those type of games, but we'll get bored of them sometimes, don't we? You get a game like comes out, and then we play it, then we're like, oh, another game coming out we like now, we can play that one. Yeah. But yeah, it does really link into autism, I think, gaming, but
yeah, definitely.
Can be draining at times, I suppose.
Yeah, it definitely can.
Yeah, because like if you're playing a game and you can't do a certain thing in the game, you most likely go on YouTube, and which is why, like, when gaming, like if you game on YouTube, that's the thing. If you're playing a game that is a storyline game, what are you going to do if you're stuck on a bit yourself?
Yeah, that's the issue I think I'm going to have with Pokemon, because what if I end up streaming myself playing it, and then I'm just sat there having the same battle for like 3 hours because I can't beat it, and there's just going to be people watching like, why am I here?
Yeah, it's quite cool how people do that. Like, people have trophy videos. I do, like, if I like a game, I will go in for the achievement. But that just takes time itself.
Oh yeah, it does.
Like I have actually got a FIFA Platinum. Like they call it Platinum, don't they, with all your trophies? Which I was actually quite happy about that, because FIFA's hard to get all the trophies.
Yeah, FIFA is. I managed to get Platinum on Detroit Become Human.
Oh yeah, I like that game.
That was a massive game to try and do that. I mean, someone calculated like the amount of combinations of endings you can have, and it's an insane number. It was like millions of different combinations that you could have for that game of different endings. But I literally spent the entirety of one summer, like, that was all I did for like 10 hours a day. I was playing Detroit, and I was getting like every single collectible. I was like talking to every single person because I wanted to complete it. And then I got that Platinum, and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself anymore. I've now completed this game. I've got no idea what to do anymore.
Yeah, that's really good, because I would like there to be another game to Detroit.
Like, yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
Because like maybe Detroit Becomes Human 2, or something, because it's a really nice game, and like I like those games kind of like that, because you get to choose what happens.
Yeah, I love those games. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's different games like that. I think there's a game called Until Dawn, a new game actually called The Quarry.
Yes, they're all made by the same people.
Similar people.
Is Until Dawn made by? I don't think Until Dawn is made by Detroit, but the people who made The Quarry also made Until Dawn. I think that's.
Yeah. I like those kind of games, but the thing is, I don't want to buy it now, because very expensive.
Yeah, exactly. They are now.
for a game you probably complete in maybe 2 days. Especially on PS5. Like,
yeah, the PS5 games are so expensive.
Yeah, because it's the next generation console, isn't it? Because PS4 you get half the price of a game. But the thing is, all the new games will come out on the PS5, so you think they have to do that, don't they? And they bring up new memberships for people to spend their money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like playing them at nighttime though. Games. Scary games, actually. Like Until Dawn or something like that.
Yeah.
It's, nice. You get these jump scares, like people don't like spiders and stuff. So maybe they put that stuff in to entertain you. Yeah. But yeah, like, You have to let me know, Lauren. If you,
I will do. I'll let you know if I do get a PS5. I'll definitely let you know.
Definitely. So within like before we finish up, is there any advice that you want to give about autism?
My kind of advice, I mean, I don't think it's even strictly related to autism, but it's kind of what I talked about earlier, and it's just kind of more about being yourself. Obviously, not everyone has the safe space to be yourself, but I think even on an internal level, if just being a lot kinder to yourself is, I think, really key advice. Just please be kind to yourself, because I know I spent a lot of time thinking that it was me that was the problem. It's me that's weird and things, but then you get to a point where you realize it's maybe not me that's the problem. I'm actually just doing things that make me happy, and this is what I enjoy, so I should do it. So the kind of advice that I have is just to be kind. Make sure you be kind to yourself. Cut yourself some slack. You're probably doing everything you can. Just try and do things that make you happy.
Yeah, I love that, because that's what we do. Like, we're here because we want to be. We're here. We want to talk about autism and
yeah, exactly,
and different types of it. Like, so, kind of similar to what you're saying to what we said at the beginning. Like just to do things that you want to do because you want to.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thanks, Lauren. I'm glad that you kind of reached out to say that you want to.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, it's been really awesome, and we'll have to do it again sometime as well.
Yeah, we will do. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thanks, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you for having me.